The first Police and Crime Commissioners will be elected on the 15th of November 2012 in all police areas in England and Wales outside of London. The creation of elected Police and Crime Commissioners can easily be dismissed as a political gimmick. Some people may therefore feel it is best to ignore or even boycott these elections. But this will be a huge mistake. The lower the turnout, and more likely we will end up with Police and Crime Commissioners elected by a minority of voters on populist law and order platforms. Police and Crime Commissioners will have enormous powers. They will control police budgets and the appointment and possible dismissal of chief constables. They will be in charge of drawing up police and crime plans, which may have a significant impact on the type of policing experienced on the ground. They will decide how much of policing in your area may be handed over to private companies, which could be even less accountable than the current police force. The new commissioners will also be allocated large amounts of funding which currently supports broad community safety and crime prevention services. This includes drug treatment, domestic violence refuges and youth centres. This funding won't be ring-fenced, so if the commissioner chooses, they can redirect it where they like. At a time when police forces are facing cuts to their funding, the pressure to redirect some or all of this money to frontline services may be too much for them to resist. The new commissioners will be elected on the supplementary vote system, the same system under which mayors, like the Mayor of London, are currently elected. Almost anyone over the age of 18 can stand as a police and crime commissioner. The only requirements are that they are British, Commonwealth or EU citizens, are resident in the area in which they stand, and are not currently serving police officers, have never been convicted of an imprisonable offence, and are not a judge or a civil servant. So, what are the pros? Because police and crime commissioners are elected, the public will have a unique opportunity to press for the kind of policing they want to see in their locality. For years, politicians of all parties have ignored issues such as the use of strong-arm policing tactics against demonstrations, excessive and disproportionate stops and searches, and disrespectful and racist attitudes of many police officers towards members of the public. If you are concerned about these issues and would like a more representative police force and improved community engagement, this is your opportunity to demand a change. Turnouts for local elections are traditionally low, so a concerted group of voters being active and vocal at hustings could make a real difference in these elections. What are the cons? Police and crime commissioners will have a huge licence and very little oversight. There is no requirement that they have experience of financial management, but they will be given tens or even hundreds of millions of pounds to spend. Cronyism or simple incompetence are both significant risks. The risks of an unrepresentative, populist or divisive candidate being elected with little or no mandate for their actions are significant. Once elected, they'll be free to strip away services on which the community rely, or to endanger community relations with overbearing, ineffective policing and intrusive stop-and-search tactics. We are already seeing a profusion of regressive law and order rhetoric from some candidates, and as the election draws closer, this is likely to intensify. Citizens, particularly in the deprived communities that take the brunt of tough, no-nonsense policing, are justifiably concerned by how this will impact upon them. So what can you do? The most obvious thing you can do is vote. Candidates have to be elected, and with turnout predicted to be low, your vote could make a decisive difference. Aside from turning out to vote on November the 15th, it is important to encourage friends and relatives to vote as well. Low turnouts mean that small blocks can have disproportionate effects, so it's most important that as many people from all communities get involved. It must also be recognised that minority groups are most vulnerable in this situation. Many people in your area may only experience policing when they call on the police after becoming victims of crime. In order to be sure that your experiences are reflected in the debate, it is vital that you engage. Finally, you can participate more actively. There will be campaign events in your area, hustings, question time events, and more. Come along to these events. This will be your chance to make sure the candidates talk about what matters to you. Stopwatch will be holding a series of events in your area, and we want you to come along. We will provide briefings closer to the time to give you some perspective on how policing in general, and stop and search in particular, operate in the region. We will also provide a space on our website for voices from the regions. You can keep up with these and even contribute some of your own at our website www.stop-watch.org. What should we be asking for? Of course, people should base their decisions on their own priorities. However, Stopwatch feel that the following are the minimum commitments communities should expect from a progressive, accountable police and crime commissioner. End excessive and discriminatory use of stop and search. Adopt public order tactics that fully allow for democratic expressions of opinion. Create meaningful channels of community engagement in policing. Improve the effectiveness of stop and search and policing in general. Use less intrusive alternatives to stop and search. Any questions, comments, stories, suggestions? Contact Stop.